Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grow With Us. My name is Evan Barton, and I'm your host who helps create conversations with the innovators and leaders of a growing tech center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Grow With Us podcast highlights the work of community leaders, tech entrepreneurs, nonprofit professionals, and talent development advocates in Tulsa. Grow With Us is a podcast of In Tulsa. In Tulsa's mission is to connect talented individuals and companies to stimulate economic growth in Tulsa and to create more prosperous communities across the region. Each episode, Grow With Us discusses the growth of opportunities, the growth of communities striving for change, or the tech and innovation that is changing the landscape of Tulsa. On this episode of Grow With Us, I speak with Morgan Phillips, the Director of Marketing and Experience at Downtown Tulsa Partnership. Morgan and I discuss the role of Downtown Tulsa Partnership as an organization, her experience as an employer partner with Tulsa Service Year, and the Downtown Forward Strategic Plan. Hi everyone, Evan here with an editor's note. As of January 16th, Morgan Phillips, the guest on this episode, no longer works at Downtown Tulsa Partnership. However, we chose to release this episode with Morgan's permission as the content, mission, and vision of Downtown Tulsa Partnership and her personal story remain true and relevant to our audience. Thank you for listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grow With Us. I'm really excited to welcome Morgan Phillips today to the podcast. Morgan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited.
This is going to be a great episode. I kind of say that every episode because I really believe that this is a fun podcast, and I have people on this podcast that are Tulsa experts or have a really cool experience with the city, and I'm really excited to get into your story specifically because we've recently become connected, but I think in a meaningful way, working on throwing an event together. And then I just have become more and more familiar with Downtown Tulsa Partnership's work that it's time to have you guys on. And I'm so excited that you're here with us to discuss everything.
This is great. Well, again, thanks for asking. And I'm happy to share a little bit about my work, my life, and whatever else you want to know.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump right in. I'd love for you to kind of introduce yourself and tell us your story in whatever way you feel comfortable.
Sure. My name is Morgan Phillips, and I'm a lifelong Tulsan. So my story as it relates to Tulsa isn't that exciting, although I was saying earlier that a lot of people that I come in contact with every day, they are boomerangers or they've moved here from out of state. And so it is kind of rare, I feel like nowadays, especially in downtown, to find people who have been here their whole life.
Us for lifers.
Exactly. So, but I grew up in Broken Arrow, graduated from high school there, 2003. So I will be 40 in April.
Hey,
so
I love it.
I had planned to be in the best shape of my life by then. That's not tracking, but it's okay. There's always 41. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But I had, a great group of friends growing up. Some of the things I was interested in were drama, theater. So I have like a flair for the dramatic, you could say.
I love it.
My husband and I met in college. So he was actually home for the summer. I was home for the summer. And then through mutual friends and church, we got connected. And so we just celebrated our 17th wedding anniversary.
Oh, congrats. That's amazing.
Thank you. And together we have two daughters. So we have an 11-year-old named Haven, and we have a almost 8-year-old named Heidi.
Oh, cute. I would love the name Heidi.
Yes. A lot of people comment on her name because I think it's kind of an old name.
Well, what's so funny is I think in late 2000s, we were growing up with characters on TV named Heidi, and it's like, oh, only that one person was named Heidi, and now maybe there's a couple more, and it's like, okay, us like late 2000s preteens are like, oh my gosh, Heidi, she slays.
Right, exactly. I hear that all day long. Like, that slays, mom. The whole
8 and 11, they're probably everywhere.
They're right there in all of the lingo, and I'm constantly, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, what does skibbity mean?
They've got you with the Gen Alpha.
And Gen Alpha, absolutely. And they sometimes can't tell me what it means, but they know if it's good or bad. And I'm like, okay, well, that's better than not knowing at all.
I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, I hear it, and I don't know if it's good or bad.
I know.
I'm like, please tell me the context. And then my sister, she's my translator. She's like 3 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that still doesn't make sense even in the context.
Right. Like, that doesn't help.
It's just the use of it, I think, is what's funny to them. So.
It is. So speaking of siblings, I have one sibling. His name is Evan, actually.
Oh, yay.
Evan Thomas. I don't know what your middle name is.
Evan Patrick.
Okay, I like that too.
Yes.
So he still lives in town. Obviously, I'm still here, and then my parents still live here.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
It's very cool that we're all connected. We get together every Sunday for family dinner.
Oh, that's great.
Like Sunday, I cooked. My mom cooks a lot of times. It's just kind of cool to be near family, and especially when you have kids, being
Yeah.
able to rely on them in case I can't go to an assembly because I work full time.
Yeah.
Like grandma can go usually.
Yeah.
And so we're just really lucky to have them in town and to be close in that way. But my husband's parents are both deceased, and so he has two sisters that are in Kansas City and Denver. So we like to spend time in both those places if we can.
Places.
We also like to plan vacations with his sisters and then their kids, which is fun to get the cousins together. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I also have family that lives here or maybe 30 minutes down the road in Muskogee, or I guess 30, 45.
Sure.
And so it's nice when we can all get together and do things. I have divorced parents, so kind of have to compartmentalize some of those family plans and stuff. But we do the Sunday dinner thing as well. I tried to do like a second Sunday family thing where second Sunday of every month we try and get together. It's really interesting, like coordinating. I'm kind of new to the whole coordinating adult schedules, but like people are busy. Like
it's
even
hard.
my mom still works full time and is like, I've had her on the podcast as well. And she's still doing everything that I'm doing, but like with, 30 years experience, her experience level is a little bit higher. I think about it in like video game terms.
Yes.
But yeah, she's got an even broader network in some ways. And so it's interesting to be like, I can only do once a month on a Sunday.
Yeah, but hey, you found something that works for most of you most of the time. So I think that's a win.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
Most of us, most of the time.
Right.
Well, you've talked about, Tulsa being almost this character in your life and your family's lives too. What's been your relationship with Tulsa, as you've seen it change, throughout your life?
Sure. I think a lot of it really has to do with the people. I feel like everybody always talks about the people in Tulsa, but just over the years growing up here and then staying close to home after I went to OSU, that's where I went to college, and came back here after I got my degree. You just build relationships with people. I started my career out in PR and marketing, working for a small agency. And there are still people nowadays that I'll go and have lunch with or have coffee with that we used to hang out back then. And now we're reconnecting or just maintaining those relationships, staying in touch. And so I think that that's just really special to me is when you're in a place for a long time, if you're intentional about building relationships with people, then you have them to fall back on when you need help or when you just need somebody to listen to you or to vent to. And so that's just really cool for me. And then I would just say I love the city. Like we have so much to offer. I think people are finally figuring that out. I think just the fact that so many Tulsa remoters come here and stay is a testament to that. But there are a million more testaments in other programs and other places across the city. And so it's just really cool to have been here since the beginning of my career, see how specifically downtown has changed, but really how the city has changed. And now to get to be a part of that in downtown, it's just really special. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's one of the most common people who have been in Tulsa for a long time. It's really the thread is like I've seen people or I've seen downtown or I've seen this part of town like change so quickly and the effect that has on other people who are experiencing it for the first time is what's like, oh wow, the eye-opening moment. Like that Tulsa Remoter fact is really important, I think, contextually for our city because it is like this was people's first time experiencing this city and they liked it. They liked it enough to see themselves here for X amount of years. I mean, there's no end date to their Tulsa experience, which is so cool. And that is where we start to really converge in our experiences. Like I don't really see me leaving Tulsa anytime soon. And I'm sure that might be the same experience for you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for a while I was like, my family's here. I chose to raise kids here with my husband. And so I don't want to leave for that reason. But as time has gone on, you're exactly right. When you meet people who are not from Tulsa and they've chosen to stay here, you get that outsider's perspective. And it's like, okay, no, I'm not just staying here because of my family. Yes, that's a key component of why I love this city. But it's also all of the things that they're seeing for the first time, as you said. So it's a special place. We have a lot of investment here. Of course, the philanthropic community, but also just tourist attractions, and again, just really generous people who have made this a great place to be.
Absolutely. I I mean, just in the 4 years, I think my like top two things that have been like really key to my stickiness to Tulsa
Yeah.
have been my downtown experience. Like I mean, that's one of them.
Mhm.
Like I plan my weekends around being in and around downtown,
Love
doing
it.
things, eating at places, hanging out with friends, visiting bars, going to shows, those things. Like
Mhm.
that is something. I mean, and that's something I couldn't have said this, in 2016, one, because I wasn't 21 planning. My social planning wasn't that, didn't involve all of those things, but
Sure.
also the landscape of Tulsa had changed so much
Right.
within 4 years. And I think the second thing, I mean, I want to say gathering place, but like, I love the gathering place. I think it has impacted so many people's experience of Tulsa,
Mhm.
um, in a broad stroke.
Right.
For me, I love it. I would rather go to my neighborhood park because I want to have a neighborhood park like that.
Sure.
That means a lot to me. But yeah, I think it's the people that have also come here, like people and things, people, places, and things. I sound like Dr. Seuss,
Right. Yeah.
but there kind of
That's
has to be a
true.
good mix of all of those things, and I think Tulsa has kept me excited about the people, the place that we are in, and the
Mhm.
things that are going on here for a really long time.
That's so cool. Well, so when I started out my career, I mentioned I was in PR and marketing, and I did that for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And then from there, I went to Tulsa People Magazine, which is the city magazine of Tulsa, for those who aren't aware. And I was there for almost 10 years. I think it was 11 years or I'm sorry, 9 years and like 11 months. But it was great because I got to learn so much through that job
Oh yeah.
about different communities in Tulsa, pockets of Tulsa, got to tell stories
Yeah.
that people shared with me. And so I think that job gave me such an appreciation for the city as a whole. But then I was ready for a change after about a decade and ended up applying for the job now at Downtown Tulsa Partnership. So it's been 2.5 years since I've been there, and it's just been really cool to be able to take that knowledge and the relationships that I mentioned earlier
Hmm.
and to really hone in on downtown because we have so much going for us in
Oh
downtown.
my gosh,
We have a lot
yeah.
of challenges, but we also have so much potential. And so it's exciting that that's starting to take off. And we're just continuing to build on the momentum that has been started through some of these investments like the BOK Center
Yeah.
and One Oak Field and all of this stuff that's been around for a few years.
Yeah, that's amazing. You kind of went in from this career of like focusing on Tulsa people for like
Right.
for
Literally.
specificity,
Yeah.
literally, and kind of like Tulsa broadly, or how those people interacted with a huge part of the city, and kind of how can you city plan things for those people to do, those people to grow into if they're expanding their businesses.
Mhm.
It is that like next step in supporting the infrastructure is
Mhm.
kind of how I see what DTP, Downtown Tulsa Partnership, is doing. But I'd love for you, in your own words, to tell us, what is Downtown Tulsa Partnership?
Sure. So Downtown Tulsa Partnership is the Downtown Tulsa Management Organization. We are a nonprofit, a 501(c)(3), and we contract with the city of Tulsa to do a couple of different things. So any municipality across the country, they do cleaning and maintenance of the city, right? Well, in downtown Tulsa, we are a business improvement district. And so our contract with the city states that DTP will provide enhanced cleaning and maintenance and beautification, as well as economic development resources, and marketing support for existing businesses. And so that's what we do. We are in about the 4th year of operations, just entering it.
Yeah.
And so we're still a baby organization. We sort of took the momentum and what had already been done through previous downtown management iterations like the Downtown Coordinating Council or the DCC, or if you've been around a really long time. I shouldn't say it that way. That makes it sound like if you're really old, you would remember.
Or if you
It's been
were
a while.
plugged in.
Yeah, I think it started in the 70s and then went through 2000 something. But the Downtown Tulsa Unlimited, or DTU.
Oh, okay, cool.
So a lot of times as I'm sharing the story of DTP, people say, okay, well, how are you different from DCC, or how are you different from DTU? We do have some of the same duties
Yeah.
as those organizations, but the biggest difference is that they were part of the city of Tulsa as a municipality. We are a separate organization, which is basically best practice across the country for a downtown management organization.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm sure there is civic law and like, I guess, just organizational structure in there
Right.
that allows a nonprofit partner entity to effectively accomplish more, efficiently, effectively, faster, better, stronger, all of those things.
Yes.
I'm like you said, best practice, and I'm glad that we are following best practices nationwide, because that is it's how you become a better city in some ways, is
right.
by learning from other organizations or other municipalities, and the best way to do that. Yeah, so I mean, specifically, I've had experiences with DTP as a consumer. Like I'm on your weekly newsletters, which really keep me informed on kind of what you all are doing to amplify the business presence in downtown Tulsa. There's the market that you guys are doing. There's a downtown Tulsa farmers market. Did you know
Right.
that, listeners? And that is something that you all help. Those stalls that come in, the people that bring their products to sell, like you are the marketing support for those people, which is awesome. And all the other things that's going on around town. I mean, a weekly newsletter is a commitment.
Right.
I know that as a marketer, that even doing it monthly is sometimes painstaking, but it really does for people that read your newsletters. If you get them, I always try and tell people that there's a lot of effort that goes into disseminating information, creating community around what's going on. And I have to give you all credit for doing that amongst the businesses and also the people that live in downtown. It is truly a partnership in that.
Right, absolutely. And you hit on a couple of the things that we do from a community event perspective. I think it's sometimes helpful to set up what our mission is as an organization, which really kind of explains why we're so interested in the community event aspect. And that's really my area as director of marketing and events. But our mission as an organization is to champion a vibrant, prosperous, and inclusive downtown Tulsa. And so what that looks like, again, for my department area, it kind of goes back to our strategic plan as an org. We have 5 basically North Stars that guide all of the work that we do and kind of show us how we can accomplish that vision and really make downtown Tulsa a center for commerce, culture, and community as well.
Absolutely.
And so, again, weekly farmers market, we do that over at Chapman Green at 6th and Main. And that park in particular is one that we're really focused on helping the city activate.
Yeah.
It is a City of Tulsa owned park. They have not to date programmed that very much. I mean, there are things that happen periodically there, but for the most part, it's our events. So we just did a film night there last Friday night, which was great. We'll be having a holiday market, a one-day holiday market in December in partnership with the Tulsa Christmas Parade there.
Cool.
And it's really a blank canvas of a space. And so it's been cool to see that part of downtown activated through events that do bring entrepreneurs to the space, hopefully help them make some sales, but then also serve the surrounding businesses and the surrounding residents and workers as well.
Yeah, I think touching on that culture, community, and vibrancy piece too, like the downtown parking garage series that you all did towards the end of July was a great example of that. I ended up going to the one where Oklahoma Fashion Alliance did a runway show,
cool.
which is I don't know, it for me as a longtime Tulsan, even as I wonder how I would have experienced that if I was a child, or a teenager, seeing a space that is for cars. There's really not people presence in there very much. Be completely activated with music, with fashion, with food, with community. I mean, it was really an all walks of life type of event, and I loved experiencing that.
That's so good to hear, because that was a brand new program that we tried. We're working with Tulsa Creative Engine to hopefully bring that back in 2025 and do a longer series and maybe do a once monthly series. And so it was pretty hot in July. So we're also looking at the time of year that we do.
Hey, at least it was covered in the
series.
parking garage.
It was, right? July was also Tulsa Music Month. So we worked with the FMAC to make that happen. And but we'll find a way that we can still loop them in this time.
Absolutely.
But I think that program is a really great example of one of the favorite parts about my job, which is just the collaboration that gets to happen, working with other organizations. When you are working with Campus Tulsa with interns, we got to do Intern Appreciation Day, and that was so great. Again, working with TCE on this parking garage concert series was cool. And also with Oklahoma Fashion Alliance, which was my first interaction with that group. And they were amazing to work with.
Yeah, I love Parker. Parker's also been on the podcast.
Awesome. Cool. Friend of the pod.
Exactly.
But yeah, so it's cool. I mean, I think that we are still, again, a young organization, but as we start just continuing to show up, be consistent, and do good work,
Yeah.
people are asking us to collaborate more and more.
Absolutely.
And so that's really exciting that we get to do that. I get to frequently meet with downtown businesses who are like, hey, we want to do this thing. Can you help us think out how this might work?
Yeah.
And in some cases, it's not us that's going to help make it happen, but we can be the connector, or we can make some introductions, or we can point them to who at the city they need to talk to for that permit or whatever it may be. But that's part of our work as well. And then some things that don't fall necessarily into my area, but are really instrumental and important to DTP are our ambassador program. So we have ambassadors that do walk around downtown Tulsa. They're also on vehicles. They do the cleaning and maintenance and the beautification that we talked about. And then they're also like a safety presence.
Yeah.
And so they provide hospitality services. So if a visitor is dropped in the middle of downtown and they don't know where to go eat, our ambassadors are there to make recommendations or point them a certain direction. And then we also have them doing well checks on our unsheltered population, which, as we know, is a big challenge that we face in downtown Tulsa. And so that is a really cool part of what we do as well. Yeah. And then additionally, economic development work. So helping support the businesses that have chosen to invest in downtown. And so Emily, my colleague, does that. She also works on the city planning side that you mentioned. So trying to make sure that downtown Tulsa, when it comes to infrastructure, is a place that we want to spend time. Mm-hmm. It's a safe place, and it's also a place that is accessible to all people, which also goes back to our mission statement. And so those are some of the areas that we work in, not all of them. Still working on that 30-second elevator speech because it's hard to put everything we do into 30 seconds. But it's such a cool job because you get to see so many different aspects of how a city and a downtown work every day. And again, like, it's not without its challenges, but getting to have a rewarding job where you see that you're making a difference, however slowly that may be, is such an important driver in me continuing to stay there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I love that. I don't think it needs to be 30 seconds because it's so much.
I'm like 30 minutes. Yeah, I can do that.
Well, and I think, like, just in hearing that kind of all comprehensively, the biggest thing for me that stood out was, like, it goes from the bottom to the top when it comes to who you service. Like, no one is left behind in your mission statement, from our unhoused population to our business owners. I mean, really are spanning the service model of what you all provide, and everyone can fall in between that. And we typically do in some way, shape, or form. And so, I mean, I think it's super, super important work that you all are doing. I love the Downtown Ambassador Program specifically because, like, I've noticed that a couple times I've had interactions with them, like, even if I just am walking or see, the vehicle or just the cart, they have a smile on their face. Yeah. And, like, that means something to, I think, a downtown presence, to know that there's an organization that is, like, providing that beautification for our downtown, cleaning up things so that it looks nice for the people that come afterwards. And it's a downtown. I mean, it is a place where I think many other cities have a challenge in upkeep and maintaining certain things. But I think you guys got in early on the game for like, the other cities have that problem because their downtown swelled so big and then became unmanageable. You guys are working on scaling this program, or at least I imagine, to where you have an arts district presence, you have the BOK and Arena District presence. And as those other districts in downtown grow, there will need to be those folks there. And so
absolutely,
it's important to kind of see that program grow. And like you said, it kind of has that accountability safety measure as well. Like, I could go, even if I knew what I was looking for, if I wasn't that person, if I was a visitor, someone in uniform might be more approachable than, a stranger on the street.
Right. Yeah. And we have ambassadors who are bilingual, who can speak to people in Spanish. Yeah. So it's really cool to see how they interact with the community. They are really special people, and they are oftentimes the first interaction that people have with our organization. They are technically set up as a contractor of DTP. So Block by Block, who is their parent company, they actually do this kind of work all across the country. But again, from an external perspective, they are us. They are part of our team.
Yeah.
We interact with them every week, sometimes daily. It just depends on the week and what we have going on.
Yeah.
As far as for me, they're a huge event support. So anytime we do set up, tear down, like they're always there. And then they also do our downtown street pole banner program, which I manage currently. And so there's just a lot of ways that we interact throughout the year. But they're wonderful. And you're exactly right. Like this is hopefully a program that will scale as we are able to just increase our budget. We didn't really talk about how we're funded, but it is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Just you have nonprofit experience.
Absolutely.
So we get funding from a couple different places. One place is we get funding from an assessment on property owners within the interdispersal loop or the IDL.
Okay.
And so it's a flat fee that's based on the size of your property. If you're a property owner, you pay into that. And then most of that tax actually goes to pay off the debt on the ballpark.
Okay.
So that's sort of the funding mechanism that they used to get that built. And it's clearly been instrumental for downtown. So it's just an interesting funding mechanism that's kind of tied into also the work that we do contracting with the city.
Yeah.
So about 40% of that tax comes to DTP. We have that contract to do the work that we've already talked about. And then in addition to that, because we are a 501c3, then we also have a voluntary membership program where businesses who benefit from the services that we provide, but they don't pay into the tax assessment, they can actually contribute as a member at a level that makes sense for them financially. Individuals can become members as well. And then we have a grant writing component of what we do, and we have a sponsorship component of what we do, specifically around events. So that's actually how I spend a lot of my time right now. I'm learning how to ask people for money.
It's so fun. It's one of the most fun parts of nonprofit. Like, open up your purse.
Right. I know. And you can't just say, just trust me. I promise I'm going to do good things with your money.
But like you can if you just open it up.
Right. I'm learning relationship building, again, is the big thing about, asking for money is if you have the relationships, like you and I know each other. If I were to say, hey, let's partner together on something else, would you guys be willing to chip in and help us financially make this happen to cover expenses? You're going to be like, oh yeah, I know you guys do good work. I know you can be counted on. So that's a big part of it. And so I think that's probably a theme throughout this entire conversation. It's just the relationship component.
And partnerships, Downtown Tulsa Partnership.
Exactly.
I mean, it's very operative in your name. And I think it makes a lot of sense that, it's collaboration, it's all of these synonyms, but like they really do come down in the work. And also come down in the funding models and how things are working, on an operational standpoint.
Right.
Which is really cool.
And right now, our ambassador team is awesome. It's about 15 people. They are, they're a very small team in comparison to the size of our downtown. And if you look at other cities in the region who have ambassador programs and you look at the total square footage of their downtown area, like they have much larger staffs who are able to take care of those daily cleaning issues or the hospitality and safety issues that we kind of touched on. And so again, like there's a lot of work to be done there, but we'll get there. As downtown continues to develop, we continue to, show up every day doing what we do, we'll make it.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on this a little bit, but like team size and how many people are on the team, how many people are doing this work with you at Downtown Tulsa Partnership?
So we have 6 people on our team, including myself. And one of those is a Tulsa Service Year fellow. So Daniel Jackson, or Downtown Danny, as we call him.
Downtown Danny.
Love Daniel. He's wonderful.
Previous Grow With Us guest, also Campus Tulsa alumni. Daniel has really done an amazing job navigating the city, and we love that he's doing this work with you all.
Yeah, he's amazing, and he's doing a community engagement role with us. And so he really does get to span the worlds of marketing and events, which is my area, and then Emily's area, which is the planning and economic development area. And so right now he's helping her get our pop-up downtown program off the ground, which is an entrepreneurship program where we basically connect emerging BIPOC entrepreneurs with property owners in downtown who have ground level vacancies. And we negotiate affordable short-term leases during the holiday season so that
That's
they can
amazing.
test out the downtown market. It takes care of a vacancy, at least for the short term.
We love that you have an awesome team that's doing this work. There's many different parts of this work. That's community engagement, that's marketing, that's, sounds like grant writing is a part of it. There's a director, which we love. We're both working with members of the Kurtz family. Shout out to them.
I know. Love the Kurtzes.
It's awesome to know that this organization is comprised of people that have this like heart for Tulsa. Whether it's, a long time heart for Tulsa or the heart to that they've seen themselves here. They've had experiences like Daniel. He's seen what the business prospects are here and has been like, well, yeah, I want to do that. And I'm going to do it through this program, which is really exciting. And we're hopeful that he's having a great year. And I think that he is so far.
Yeah, he's having a great time, I think. And we're loving having him here. I just actually had to check in with Brooke and Becky about Daniel, and I told them all good things about him, and then I told him the good things that I told them.
I love it.
But yeah, it's been cool to see like the areas that he's been able to grow in, and just seeing him become more confident and just able to facilitate projects himself. And so the fact that he's working with Emily on this pop-up downtown program that we're starting to unveil this holiday season is really exciting. I know he was excited about that back when we were interviewing him.
Yeah.
And so we have had a great experience with Tulsa Service Year. And we had Sophia Ton, who was with us from an earlier cohort and then actually got hired full time. She's in grad school now.
We miss her.
I know. We miss her so much. I got to see her a couple months ago.
Oh, great.
Yeah. In Seattle, we had a work conference and she was able to come up and meet us and go to the conference. But she's great. And I think it's cool. Like her story is a great example of, I think, the types of just connections that are made through the program because she's getting her master's in urban design. She's getting her master's in city planning.
Yeah.
And so that is a direct result of the work that she got to do with Emily at DTP, and just, going from a sociology major with her undergraduate to now, getting to hone in on this and letting that knowledge and education inform what she'll hopefully do. We hope she comes back to Tulsa and uses those skills, but it's just really neat. And so I can't wait to see how Daniel's impacted by the experience at DTP and like how that will kind of direct his path forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the hope of the program is to continue to make those impactful employment opportunities for early career folks. I mean, it's really awesome. And I'm so glad that he's got a great site. I saw this video of him this week where he's answering trivia questions like Interview Downtown. He gets all three of them right because they're all movie questions. And I'm like, this is Downtown Danny right here.
Yeah, he's a smart cookie. He's funny. He's kind of like a quieter guy before you get to know him, but he's so much fun and he's so intelligent and like he observes everything. And so I always tell him like, just because you don't necessarily talk a lot, like doesn't mean that your brain's not working, because as soon as you open your mouth, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so smart.
Yeah,
I'm reminded every single time.
I love that. Well, we're wishing him continued success. I'd love to talk a little bit about some of the yearly things that are kind of, things that people can look forward to from DTP, maybe even looking towards the new year.
Sure. So something that was a very recent addition for us was the 918 Day Festival. So we did that in September. It was on 918 Day, or September 18th, if you're not familiar.
It's also the area code of Tulsa.
It's the area, exactly. Yes. So we did a community-wide, essentially block party at Chapman Green at 6th and Main. We did it on a night that was our weekly farmers market, but we kind of blew up the whole experience for people. So we had street closures around the park. We had about 100 vendors or nonprofits set up. We had all kinds of food trucks. And the idea was really to allow Tulsa's cultural communities to invite them to come and display their cultural art, whether that's food or visual art or music. And so we had 2 stages for the first time. We just found out we had about 2,000 people there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we exceeded our goal for the first year. And something that was really cool about that was that we had a community committee for that really helped us plan the event and make sure it was representative of the various communities that we were inviting to be part of this.
That's awesome.
And so that is something that will become a flagship event of ours. We were having people email us asking if they could be involved like the day after.
Oh,
so
yay. That's awesome.
we're really excited about that. So September 18th, 2025.
We know when it'll be.
Yeah, you don't have to ask, right? So that's one. Another big event that we do is a downtown yoga event called Nama Street Downtown Yoga. And we do that over in the Deco District on iconic Boston Avenue.
Yeah.
And so we had over 300 people this year come and do yoga, meditation in the streets. We had a sound bath experience, which was really cool to hear how the singing bowls reverberated off of these
old
buildings, right?
So cool. The pictures from that event are always so dope. I love that.
Yeah, it was cool. So we're kind of looking at ways that we can scale the event now because people are so excited about it and we have such a crowd. We need to make sure that everybody can see the instructor and hear well and all of those different components that you need when you're trying to grow an event. So that's definitely something people can look forward to, and that's in June. So it's also on a specific day. It's the summer solstice.
Oh, cool.
So every year we do it on the summer solstice or the longest day of the year. It's just a way that we can kind of like welcome in, usher in summer, and
very
just sit and be present.
And
yes,
namaste.
yes, it's very, very Eastern of us.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a great time doing that. And then beyond that, we hope to do Intern Appreciation Day again.
Yes.
In July.
I'm like already signing us up for it.
Yeah, please. Yeah. So we'll have to reach out and start planning that after the first of the year.
Yeah.
But that's one that we'll continue to do. We do 2 events that are more focused on the business community, although anybody's welcome to attend.
Mm-hmm.
And these ones are ticketed events, which is a little different for us because most of our community events, well, really all of them are free and open to the public.
Yeah.
But so these are the State of Downtown, which is typically in the spring, and then our DTP annual meeting, which is in the fall. And the annual meeting is kind of what you would expect. It's always just a good time to sort of look back at the past fiscal year and then look forward as well.
Yeah.
So we just had that in September. But State of Downtown is going to be coming up soon. And we actually release a report called the State of Downtown Report. And it's got all kinds of data about how we're doing the economic health of downtown. This is a tool that potential investors use, people who work in real estate, business owners to just sort of like see where we're at. And we really want to become and are becoming the hub for all things downtown. And that includes research and data. So Daniel's been able to help a little bit with that as well. And that's something that we'll continue to release every year and have an event around that unveiling.
That's amazing. Yeah. And those are great events, like you said, free, open to the public. And then also kind of that, if you want to dive deeper into what the impact of this is, you have the opportunity to do that while also supporting the organization. Data and analytics is one of those things that like is so important to like marketing and our functions, but also like just makes so much sense to spread around to people and help people understand what your metrics are and how your program health is, essentially facilitating the growth of downtown. X amount of events in downtown means that X amount of people or Y amount of people showed up. And that many people showing up means that there's the possibility of a transaction or of a connection.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of those metrics like do matter when it comes to building the health of this community and the health of the downtown Tulsa community.
That's exactly right. And that kind of brings me into another event that we do every year. It's more of a campaign than an event. It's a series of events, you would say, but Downtown Days of Wonder. So we're kind of getting into that season. And DTP created this campaign. We have downtowndaysofwonder.com. We want to be a hub for all things holiday during the winter season in downtown. And so we work with all of the major attractions from Guthrie Green to Arvest Winterfest to the PAC to the Tulsa Christmas Parade and more. And we basically have created a campaign that brings all of those pieces together and really, from a visitor perspective, a suburban perspective, I guess you would say. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of people who live out where my parents do in Broken Arrow. Like, we want them to think of downtown Tulsa as a destination for the holiday season.
Absolutely.
Just like they might be planning to go to the Sapulpa Christmas shoot or to, Rama in Broken Arrow or to
Yeah.
the Rose District. We have so many cool pieces in downtown that we are just trying to connect the dots a bit. And like you were saying, the end goal is to get people to come to downtown and not just see a show at the PAC
Yeah.
and then go home, but we want them to come and we want them to see all of the things that there are to do here. So to go
to
and
build your
do-
evening around it.
Sure, absolutely. To go and do a karaoke event at a Lotte afterward, or to go ice skate at Arvest Winterfest, or take photos with Santa at Guthrie Green.
Go see the lights. Have like a
Absolutely.
path to do that. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the tabs on the website are light display, shopping small, ice skating, seasonal eats, and family festivities. So you really are doing that convening work that is sometimes painstaking, but like can really, I think, elevate an experience. So that's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah. So those are just a few of the things we're still working on our plans for 2025 and what we're bringing back. So, again, having to take a look at the ROI of things and like how many people were we able to impact and like what was the cost of the program. And so, we'll be making some more announcements about that, but there'll be a lot. I can say that.
That's exciting. That's super exciting. Well, lead us into the, one last bit of conversation. DTP and Partner Tulsa, you all at your most recent Downtown Forward event unveiled kind of your strategic plan in September. I'd love for you to kind of share, what folks can look forward to coming from that strategic plan and its execution. And whatever you're at will to say.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first off, I would say that the plan is available on our website, and it's downtowntulsa.com/forward. And so, as you said, at our recent annual meeting, we did unveil not only our annual report for the year, as we typically do, but also a plan called Downtown Tulsa Forward. There hadn't been a downtown-wide planning effort in 14 years. And so DTP was able to work with the city and to work with Partner Tulsa to basically create the first planning effort in that long. And so essentially the plan was created to provide a structured approach to taking advantage of tax increment financing, which I've learned a bit about.
We love tax increment financing.
TIF revenues, yes, right? Not your average Tulsan doesn't necessarily understand that. But essentially over the next 10 years, there will be about $28 million that's generated through the increase of property values in downtown Tulsa. And so we have the ability to use that money to reinvest it. Not so much DTP, but we're making recommendations for the investment, working with a consultant called MIG. And then Partner Tulsa and the city ultimately get to decide what they're going to do or not.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting plan because it's about 150 pages. We did not print these for obvious reasons. That's why it is available solely online. But it's basically 41 specific curated projects. And it's everything from smaller projects like alleyway activations that would be sort of an art component, but also a public safety aid of increasing lighting in some dark areas of downtown, to things like, building really comprehensive green spaces, looking at ways that we could maybe fix the fact that the highway system around downtown is kind of like choking us off.
Yeah.
And so there's...
We love the IDL, but...
Right.
But...
Yes. But there may be some other ways that we could do things, right?
Yeah.
And the idea is that nothing in the plan nothing in the plan necessarily lays out exactly how we are to do this, but it identifies through this process that has involved a lot of community engagement, and just meeting with stakeholders over really the last year.
Yeah.
And it takes those ideas and it basically identifies that, we may not be able to accomplish this in 5 years or even 10 years, but if we want to go that direction as a city and as a downtown, we need to start figuring out the steps to take now, today. And sometimes that's figuring out what the funding mechanism is going to be to make that happen. Or just figuring out, who are the players that need to come to the table to think out the execution of this.
Yeah. I love the idea of it being like a menu, like you said, like, oh, well, we're just gonna sit down and think about how we're gonna improve downtown, and we have many, many options in which big, small, large scale projects. I mean, there's so many things that are kind of like currently in play right now too. I mean, Grant Baumgartner, I think, gave me this fact a couple of months ago, maybe years ago, but I still say it because I'm sure it's true. Like over almost $1 billion of development is going on in downtown right now in terms of
Absolutely.
like the huge cranes that you see. There's housing developments. I mean, our office is located right across from the Gradient space that's going to be opening at the beginning of the year. There's literally so many things to be excited about. Santa Fe Square is about to open up. I'm just really excited to see kind of what people that sit down and make these decisions be like, oh, we're gonna do this today, or think about this
Right.
for our 1 to 2 year plan. Like, how can they use that plan to really visualize what downtown can look like? And so I love that it's free and open to the public, even for perusal and consumption.
Yeah.
I would challenge people to take a look at it. I know 150 pages might be daunting, but like there's going to be something in there that might speak to you, whether it's a
Yes.
public transit project or a beautification experience or like an art installation. There are ways that you might be able to see yourself in the work. How do you set yourself up to be in the room when the project comes?
Absolutely.
That's my
Yeah.
encouragement to any listeners out there.
I think that's a really great point. And I will say, MIG did a great job, and so did Emily on our team in making this a digestible plan. So while it is very robust and there's a lot of words, they did a lot of maps, renderings. And so
That's
it
awesome.
is kind of cool to look through renderings at like what things could look like.
Yeah.
And it helps you just visualize it. Of course, that's the point of a rendering. And some of these things are already coming online. Like we are getting a full service convention center hotel, which is going to be transformational for
Yeah.
downtown and for the city. It's going to really allow the Tulsa Regional Tourism Team to start attracting even bigger events and more events to downtown, which does have that trickle down effect to our hotels, our restaurants, our bars, really all of our businesses.
Everything. I love
And
it.
so, yeah, it's cool to look through and see all of these ideas that are proposed, and we're happy to play a part in that. And I'm sure Emily had a lot of fun, and Daniel's worked on it a little bit as well. But getting to dream big, which is part
Yes.
of this work.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I think there's so much to be excited about with downtown Tulsa. And I think we are identifying that you are a big part of who's to thank for this, as well as your other collaborators. So, but I'm going to give you a thank you because this is sometimes thankless work, but I'm glad to hear that, it's personally and professionally meaningful for you to do this. It does a lot for the city to have a downtown experience, and you guys are a really big part of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That's so kind of you to say. I appreciate the encouragement.
Absolutely. Well, Morgan, anything else you want to leave our listeners with? Maybe, where they can find out more about DTP, upcoming events, things like that.
Sure. The best resource I could give anybody is just our website, which has all of the information about the programs and initiatives we've talked about today. It's downtowntulsa.com, so it's not a hard URL to remember, so that was lucky. But we do have social media presence on several platforms, and then the newsletter that you mentioned, so you can find all of that there on the website homepage.
Awesome. Morgan, thank you so much for being on this episode of Grow With Us, and I really appreciate it, and thank you again.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Grow With Us. Grow With Us is supported by InTulsa Initiatives. If you're interested in learning more about InTulsa services for job placement and workforce development, please visit talent.intulsa.com. From there, you can join our talent network where you'll get access to our newsletter, and our talent team will make sure we put the right opportunities on your radar. We put the choice to pursue a new career and opportunities in your hands. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to be notified when more episodes of Grow With Us are released. Let us know what you think about how we're doing by rating and reviewing. It really helps. Grow With Us is edited and engineered by Rant9 Productions and Jesse Ulrich. This has been Grow With Us.